The Turtle of Oman, Chapter 30, Sidi nets a sea stone. Arif and Sidi clattered over to the beach again in Mansour. It was a shorter drive than from Arif's house. The snorkelers were standing on the sidewalk near a beach hotel with fins and goggles in hand, looking out to sea. The sun was dancing on the water. Sidi drove past the hotels toward the fishing docks, pulled up, and parked under a palm tree. "Let's hope for the best," he said. They walked toward the water's edge and the bustle and clank of fishing boats. Nets were spread across the sand. A fisherman was stitching a torn net with a wide wooden needle and some string. Buckets and fish coolers were scattered around everywhere. The air smelled like fish. Sidi waved at a fisherman. "There's Moussa," he said. "I buy fish from him sometimes. Let's give him a try. I don't see my old friend Ziad anywhere." Moussa, carrying nets and poles with one arm, waved back with the other hand. "Hello, my uncle," said Moussa. "I haven't seen you for a long time. Where have you been?" "Brother, I have been in the desert with a falcon and this boy here, my grandson Arif. We have a big question for you. Could we possibly ride in your boat with you for an hour? You're going out, yes? Would it be too much trouble for you to bring us back in?" Sidi glanced at Arif. "I don't want to get stuck out there for 10 hours or something." "I do," said Arif. Of course he does. Moussa looked as if he was debating this. "I know most fishermen don't like to come back to shore so quickly," Sidi said, "but Arif is going to the United States very soon. I promised to take him out in a boat before he left, but I don't have a boat. I will make you a whole bowl of yogurt in trade for this favor. Or some kalsamashi or makalaubi, or whatever you like." Moussa laughed. "You don't have to make me anything. It might be a little trouble to bring you back, but not too much. I've already been out and come into shore once this morning. I'd love to have your company." The sea wind blew a little harder. They were standing close together on the sand. Arif dug the toe of his shoe in. Moussa pointed at his boat, tied to the dock, red with a sunburst of yellow painted at the stern. A single word was written in Arabic: Mabsut, happy. They were going out on the happy boat. Arif felt his hair flap in the wind on his head like a wing. Moussa walked over to the dock and out to the boat with them following. You could look down into the water here at the shallow edge and see some darting minnows and anchovies or sardines playing around together. Moussa loaded his equipment into the boat and adjusted some faded pillows on the crossbar seats. "We're all set," he said. "Hop in." Sidi couldn't hop, but Arif hopped, then offered his hand to Sidi. Moussa helped Sidi too. The boat felt a little tippy until they all got balanced. Sidi and Arif were sitting side by side, Moussa across from them. Moussa pulled an orange life preserver from a box under the seat and handed it to Arif. It smelled musty and fishy. Sorry, this stinks. Do I really have to wear it?" Arif's eyes asked the question of Sidi, who answered out loud. "Oh, okay, so he's just looking at him like, ew." "Yes, the jacket was a little big, but Arif pulled the straps tighter and snapped it on." "Thank you for coming along, my uncle," said Moussa to Sidi. "It is my pleasure to host you both." "And it is our pleasure to come," said Sidi. "A boat!" Arif looked around him. He smiled at the fishermen in the next boat, who called out greetings when they saw him. A family strolled by the beach, a red cooler dangling from the father's arm. A boy about Arif's age ran ahead of them. He stared out toward the water. Arif felt proud to be sitting in the boat. Moussa undid the line, tying his boat to the dock. He pulled the cord on the motor, and the engine coughed and sputtered and roared into life. Vroom! Mabsut was moving. Arif held on to the side next to him with one hand, and Sidi gripped the seat with both of his hands. Son, have you ever been to India? Mousa pointed out across the Gulf of Oman in the direction of India. I have not. Can we go there today? Said Arif. Mousa laughed. It is much too far for today, but someday, yes. Surely you must travel there up and down and north and south, as the countryside is so much larger than our own people imagine. It is huge and every part of it different. Well, I have not been everywhere but India, a most amazing place. Streets are packed with people wearing bright colors. You hear ringing and clanging of bells as you scurry between curry shops, cows sleeping next to the street lights, tea stalls and elephants standing by. Little bicycle taxis zoom wildly between everyone as if stitching in the traffic on three wheels. Passengers must grip on very tightly. Your eyes will pop out. A large green boat zoomed past them, causing waves, which made them grip on tightly, too. Sidi and I are going to go there someday, said Arif, even though he wasn't sure he wanted his eyes to pop out. Maybe in a bigger boat, said Sidi. I like your boat, Mousa. It is rocking us like a baby's cradle. The ride will get smoother in a minute, Mousa said. But another boat passed him and the waves grew larger the minute he said that and crashed against the side of moss boots, splashing their faces. Can you swim? Mousa asked Sidi. Shall I get you a life preserver too? That is always a good idea, said Sidi. Mousa tugged another faded life jacket out from under the seat. Sidi stuck his arms in and clipped the belts in front of him. Now we are all safe, Mousa said. And what about you? Arif asked. You aren't wearing a life jacket. I am a dolphin in disguise, said Mousa. I swim like a dolphin and could ride a dolphin if I needed to. Have you seen any dolphins lately? No, Arif said, but we saw a lot of turtles today. Turtles! Kings of the sea! I could also ride a large turtle. They live even longer than we do sometimes. I bow to them. Have you ever gone deep sea diving to see live coral beds under the water? I think I have to be older to do that, said Arif. But my dad and I went snorkeling once. Ah, yes, said Mousa. The Great Underwater Mystery Tour. When you get older, you can also ride a banana boat. Have you seen this one? It looks like, guess what? A banana. I haven't done it, though. I prefer my boat to look like a real boat. Some people now have a powerboat joyrides, wakeboarding, paddle boards, ringo rides, water skiing. Now his real boat was rocking hard in the wake of a large yellow boat motoring fast toward the marina. Slow down, said Sidi. He looked a little strange. The spray was drenching them. I would like to do everything, said Arif. Enjoying the shower, hanging on tightly. Salty drops dripped down his cheek, and he licked them. 3 sailboats were headed north, far out on the water. Arif liked that they looked like their big white sails unfurled. Someday he was going to own a sailboat. He had decided that, right this minute. Then you are like our brother Sinbad the sailor, who had so many great voyages on the sea. Do you think he came from Sir or Sohar? Some people say he grew up in Iraq, but I think he was from Oman. Don't you think so? Walla Ami. What, are you scared of the water? Mousa asked Sidi, who had been very quiet, his head tipped to one side. How could I be scared? Sidi asked. I lived next to the sea all my life. Scared would not be the word, but my stomach feels a little frisky. Mousa reached into his pocket and pulled out a wrapped peppermint. Try this, Uncle. It will make you feel better. And please, don't look down at the waves. Look up at the sky. Sidi unwrapped the mint and popped it into his mouth. He tilted his head back and began staring at the sky very hard. Thank you. The sky dotted and cloud the sky dotted with cloud puffs in long layering lines, stretching from Oman to India and countries beyond. The sky, a round dome, a big bowl, a feathery crown. They had motored out beyond the hotels. Very tiny people were sitting on tiny, bright towels around the swimming pools. They could see the fire pit burning at the Sidi Hotel, palm trees leaning and blowing, and the white buildings of the city pressed up against the dusky brown mountains. Everything looked peaceful and quiet, like a painting or a dream. Mousa sang a few songs to them, old Arabic fishing songs with curly notes and repeated refrains, songs about waiting and watching and being out in the water under the giant sky. His face had sun-baked toughness. Arif liked his face. Mousa threw his white net into the waves on the side of the boat by Sidi. It sank down into the water, pulled by its metal weights. Sidi gripped the top edge of it where it hooked onto the boat. "I am in charge of the net," he said in a frail-sounding voice. "Would you like to hold a fishing pole?" Mousa asked Arif. "Voila, for sure," Arif said, thinking who wouldn't. Mousa placed the pole squarely in his hands. "If you feel a tug, you do this." He demonstrated the knob and the spinning reel and showed him how to turn it very quickly, which Arif already knew. The reel made a clean whizzing sound, which he also liked. "What do you want to catch?" Mousa asked. "Bluefish? Shad?" I attached a lure that they both like. Arif just grinned at him and shrugged. He knew some fish were bigger than he was. "I think any fish would be good," he said. They all rocked back and forth together. The wind circled their heads, spreading out across the tops of the waves. Arif wished one of his friends from school would pass by on another boat and they could slap hands from boat to boat. Right then, Arif felt a tug. He stood, tried to turn the knob, jerked the pole backwards, and lost his balance, slipping to his knees. He let go of the pole, but Mousa grabbed it in time. A shiny silver fish flopped into the air, then opened its mouth and dropped back down into the waves. "Mabrouk, congratulations," Sidi said. "Lost it," said Mousa. "He was quick. Here, try again." Arif stood up and shook himself off. He wasn't sure he wanted to catch a fish, because then the fish would be dead. Fish looked better flashing in the sunlight for a moment, then slipping back into the waves. The sun got hotter and hotter. The motor was humming softly, and the boat was circling and floating in place. "I think it's a good spot," Mousa said. What did a fish think when it saw a fish hook with a pretty feathery lure on it? Yummy, yummy, yummy? Boom! Another tug. Arif pulled. He tried to turn the reel with his right hand, but the tug against him was very strong. Sidi grabbed Arif's waist so he could stay balanced. Arif cranked the wheel slowly, and then the fish flew up above the water and splashed down. "Keep going," said Mousa. Slowly, slowly. Arif turned the spool as steadily as he could, as the glistening silver fish rose again, its head poking out of the water. Mousa added his strength to the reel and said, "Arif, you have a big guy here. This is something." The shining, spectacular fish flopped into the boat, its eyes staring straight up at Arif, who wanted to pat it the same way he patted Mish Mish. Its mouth was opening and closing in a perfect O. "Is it dead yet?" asked Arif. Mousa said, "No." "Can we let it go?" "Why?" "I want it to escape. I want it to have a longer life, please." Mousa looked at Sidi, and Sidi shrugged. I would make fish soup," said Sidi. "One or the other." "We will do what you say, Arif," said Mousa, raising his eyebrows. "I'm sure the fish will thank you. Myself, I would keep it, but it is your fish. You want to throw it back yourself?" "Yes." Arif was a little afraid to pick up the huge fish, since touching it made it wiggle hard, and it was very heavy when he gripped it. "Tell the turtles hi for me," he said, as he held up the fish one moment, then dropped it cleanly into the water, where it slid home, disappearing instantly. Arif shivered, imagining its relief. "Sidi!" he called out loudly, though Sidi was right next to him. "This is fun!" "Do you have another peppermint?" Sidi asked Mousa. "Are we ready to head back to solid ground?" Oh, poor Sidi. He's getting seasick. But he suffered through it for Arif, didn't he? Once you have been out on a boat, looking back at where you live, everything seems changed. The blue water, the sea stretching, everything altered. Now the sea is a real place that can hold you. You will always know you might be elsewhere instead of on solid earth. You're not tied to the ground. Arif had once floated with his dad on a friend's sailboat, and they came home that night feeling lighter and airier inside. Would flying feel this way too? Looking down on Earth from high in the sky, would everything change even more once you landed? Would standing on a shore in Michigan or drifting out in a boat on any great lake let you feel connected to all the floating people of the world? "Let's check the net for sardines," said Mousa, "before we head back in." We didn't quite get to their favorite spot, but just in case. Hand over hand, he and Sidi pulled the heavy net into the boat. A large clump of seaweed was snagged in it and a few tiny sardines. Mousa shook his head. "Not very successful." "But look what I see," said Sidi, pointing. "A prize, a relic from the deep." It was an old, lumpy, gray stone that looked a little like a person sitting down, hunched over. "It's for you," Sidi said, handing it to Arif. "No fish, but a sitting stone. I think it looks like me in the boat." Arif laughed. "It does look like you. Does it get a face?" "No, this one will remain pure, unblemished by human touch. But ask what it knows, listen closely, and guard the answer." Sidi handed it to Arif like a prize. Arif slipped the sitting stone into his pocket. A relic from the underworld, frozen in time.